So Forest take a massive 3 points at West London yesterday as we come away victorious by 2-0. But there are certain things that we need to cover off. Welcome to my match reaction. Hi guys, hope you're doing well and welcome to Brentford 0, Forest 2. Coming up, we're going to talk about certain key attributes that Forest did. It's going to be hopefully quite a positive video. There's some good things to take out of yesterday. There are some stuff that we've got to objectively look at as well. We've got to talk about Taiwo. What does this mean now with Taiwo? And what happens next with Crystal Palace losing Wharton and Glasner and everything? It could be a good little period for Forest. But maybe we shouldn't get our hopes up too soon. So make sure you've hit the like button, make sure you've hyped and subscribed, and make sure if you want to check out the merch store where you can get all the merch that we've got there by scanning this QR code. I'm wearing one now, Champions of Europe. Been telling the Arsenal fans about that after what they did yesterday. Anyway, let's get into the video and let's start off. Look, we could start by talking about Forest only completed 4 passes in a row in the second half, or Forest were too deep in their shape and everything like that. We'll discuss that tonight on Grumpy Old Reds, which is about 6:45 tonight. I want to get into some of the key signs that show me that there is signs of life with Forest. And there's only one place we can start with that. And that's M&M. This, if we go back to last season, was the bedrock and foundation of our success. That back 4 plus Sels, aka the back 5, and these two in particular, M&M. Milenkovic has been off it about 2-3 weeks ago. He just looked completely lost on the pitch, whether he was carrying an injury, whether he was tired, whether he was just fed up. God knows what it was. But over the last couple of weeks, Milenkovic has looked like the Serbinator again. The rise of the machine is back. And alongside Murillo, I thought Milenkovic for me was man of the match, as I said in the player ratings. But Murillo as well, rock solid defensively. Yes, we can question some of the passes from Murillo, but overall, these two were it for me. And Sels, who has had ropey times this season, made a great save as well. The one real chance that Brentford did create when they got in behind our defensive line, Sels was there to clean it up. Einar, for about 20-30 minutes, looked like a fit Einar, and then obviously started to gas a bit. Nico Williams, I didn't think it was his best game, but you can't argue how good Nico Williams has been all season long and last season. And why am I bringing this up? Because this is probably the most important element to Forest now. If this defence starts to get back to where we were last season, we've had 2 clean sheets in a row now in the Premier League. If we can start to build that foundation, and then you got an Anderson and a Sangare in front of it, then teams are going to struggle to score against us. Clearly obvious. I know I'm stating the obvious. And then when we do create opportunities and we score them, you kind of start to get that comfort feeling again. Now, I'm a long way off feeling like when Forest went 1-0 up last season, it was done, it was dusted. Under Nuno, I felt we were so defensively sound, especially, let's ignore the last 3 months for a second. But before that, it's like Forest are in the lead, I'm comfortable. I think we can hold out a 1-0 win. And I think that bled into the players. The players felt that if we went 1-0 up, these guys and the other 2 boys and Sels, etc., would be good enough to lock it down. And I think if we can just go another game, another 2 games, holding clean sheets or being really unlucky to concede a goal, that kind of thing, that starts to breed the confidence within the rest of the team that if we try hard enough, create a couple of chances, get 1 goal, that could be enough to see us over the line. But it all stems from these 2. You know Einar, once he's fully fit, is going to cook again. Nico Williams has been completely consistent. These 2 pairing up again is absolutely huge. So I think that's a huge positive to take away from yesterday. And as long may they stay fit. I know we've got the Europa League match coming up, but technically speaking, it doesn't make a difference where we're going to finish. We're going to be in the playoffs. It's just who we get going through those next stages. I wouldn't play either Milenkovic or Murillo in that game. Sean Dyche alluded to it in his post-match presser. He was almost hinting that, listen, like, hear me out. There's going to be some changes and you guys need to understand why. Even I'm not going to argue with the reasoning. It's just pointless. It doesn't really matter. You're going to get a playoff game. You're going to have to play those 2 games. whether it's Victoria Plazan or whatever they're called, or it's another team, no real difference. Maybe you want to stay away from that 15th, 16th position because you end up pairing up with the first or second in the Europa League. But we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see how that goes. So these two for me have to be rested. In fact, I'd go as far as say Einar should not even be in the squad on Thursday. And if you can get away with resting Nico Williams, more so for it. So those are on those two. Now, obviously in attack, I didn't think we were very good yesterday. As I mentioned, the most we completed was 4 passes in a row in the second half. Igor Jesus' goal was phenomenal. That for me was old school Forest, where you had Einar bombing down the wings, taking on the fullback. See what difference it makes when someone out wide takes on a fullback, gets to the byline, delivers it to him. Igor Jesus' strength was fantastic and puts the goal away. But the surprise package for me yesterday was this man Taiwo. Now, I was not expecting him to score from the position he received the ball in. I wasn't even expecting him to keep the ball in play. Let's be honest. And I think I'm justified in having that thought process. He's been out of crap for 12 months, if not longer. But to see him do what he did, I think was fantastic. I really do. It was so pleasing on the eye to see him take on Rob Van Dam, get into the box, and then smash it home from that acute angle. But I'm not going to go overboard with it. I'll be honest with you. I think if that's Taiwo's last game for Forest, there are still rumours that he is leaving in this transfer window. To whom, I don't know, but there are some kind of rumours doing the rounds right now. I think that's a lovely and fitting way for him to go, confirming the win for Forest away from home. But I just don't think he's got that consistency in him for the Premier League anymore. And as great a goal as it was, and maybe you're not going to say I'm being harsh in the comments, obviously I think Taiwo's a great guy. He's very deeply rooted in his religion and everything. But as a striker, I'm sorry, I don't see it. But what I will say is the big difference between Taiwo and Igor for me was that Taiwo was attempting to make runs in behind the defensive line. And Igor goes the other way too much, in my opinion. He ends up dropping too deep, and then maybe that's an infection from the system. Because we're playing so deep, he has to come back to try and find the ball. But then you saw Morgan Gibbs-White with a run in front of him was able to produce a ball into the channel and able to get it to Taiwo. So there is that element that you almost want to mix the positives of Taiwo with the positives of Igor Jesus, and you get yourself an even better striker. But I think, and I haven't changed my mind, it'll be interesting to see what the boys say tonight on Gore and what you guys say in the comments. I think if Fanafa comes in, I would sell him. We've got Luca coming in. You could argue unknown entity in the Premier League is going to be a different profile, a bit more towards the Chris Wood side with the added aerial threat in him. So potentially Forest are going to do loads of crossing when he comes in. But Taiwo, for me, nice send-off, but I wouldn't keep him. So that's my thoughts on Taiwo. I'd be interested to see what you guys say in the comments down below. And then we move on. Obviously, we got the Europa League game this Thursday, but as I said, it will be heavily rotated. The real focus now turns on Crystal Palace and these next couple of games we've got. We're going into a run where we've got Palace, Leeds and Wolves. I think that's right off the top of my head. And it's the first time for a long time that I've sat here and looked at it and thought, okay, technically speaking on paper, these are 3 winnable games. Forest need to get some serious points out of this. You could argue there's 9 points available. The state of Palace, I was catching up with Rich last night. He's worried about relegation battle. They're at 6s and 7s. Wharton's been sent off. He's not available for the Palace match. Mateta's not firing. Are they playing for Glasner anymore? Is Glasner playing for Palace? We're catching them at a good time. So this is a real good opportunity. Palace haven't beaten us home or away since, I think, like 2012, 2011, something like that. We are a bogey team to them. And that in itself worries me when it comes to Forest. As I said to you guys before this Brentford match, I was fully expecting Forest to win because it's the most Forest thing to do. Can Forest go and beat Palace? Let's see what happens this weekend. I think the hardest game out of the 3 is Leeds away. I don't like I don't like playing at Elland Road. It's an old school ground. They're going to be up for it. There is a little rivalry between the two fan bases and what have you. That's going to be a tough one. But if Forest can get, let's just be crazy now. Let me be deluded. If Forest can get 9 points out of the next 3 games, I think that puts us on 34 points. We're home and dry. Every bit of focus has to be on these 3 games. I think 35 is the cutoff mark this season, maybe 36. You get to 34, you can limp your asses across the line. And then if we are on 34 points after the next 3 games, honestly, we're looking more at like 12th, 11th, 13th, somewhere like that in the table based on how other results go. And that would mean we're ahead of the likes of Palace, Spurs, Leeds, Bournemouth, etc. I'm getting ahead of myself, I know. But my point here, the point I'm trying to make, is every single thing has to be on these 3 games. We need minimum 7 points. We do that, we can all start to breathe a little better. So those are my thoughts. We'll be live tonight on Grumpy Old Reds about 6:45, so make sure you're tuned in for that. I'll leave you the player ratings on the end screen. If you haven't seen that, you can catch up with that. Make sure you've liked, hyped, subscribed, and we'll see you tonight on Grumpy Old Reds. Come on, you Reds.